Miss Manning told me there were 3 seniors that voted for 2 people when you're only supposed to vote for 1. She said, I need to teach them how to. I said, look, I always say, not everyone should vote. We should not all have a vote. Only if you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. If you know that this person is running for this office, and you could write it down on a blank sheet of paper, then you should vote. If you don't, when I come across something I don't know, I don't vote for it. Or I guess I don't know. I don't want to cancel out somebody's, but it should be a blank sheet of paper. And you should have to go up there and write president. What word is that? President. Does everybody know? See, that's president. No confusion. That would count, because I can tell what the word is. If you spell it where I can tell what it is, it's counted right. And then you have to write the person's name you're running for that office. That way you've proven that you know what you're doing and you have a reason for what you're doing. That's what balance should be. Anyway. All right, Bill of Rights. When they did the Constitution, first of all, the Articles of Confederation was a car without an engine. What's great about a car without an engine? There's 2 great things about it. What y'all's car, if you have a car, it has an engine, right? What does that mean for you? And you have to pay for gas, right? You pay for gas, and you can get in a wreck. If there's no engine in the car, you don't have to pay for gas, and you'll never get in a wreck. So the people of America, on purpose, made a government that was a car with no engine. Why did they do that? They made their government in 1780 something. What's going on? Were they busy with something else as they were making this government? They had a revolution they were fighting against the greatest military in the history of the world. Why did they make their government a car with no engine?
They didn't want to end up like them.
They didn't want to have to deal with another tyrannical, overpowering government. So they made it too weak on purpose. Then they figured out, well, that's great. We're not getting in a wreck. We're not paying for gas, but we're also not getting anywhere. So we need to put a little engine in this car. What's up, Jake? Good hair. That's what's good. All right. Okay. Just understand this. If somebody says, this has been said, you look nice today. Don't turn that into something. What? I didn't look good yesterday? No, don't turn that. Let's not do that. Just, oh, thank you. I appreciate that. That doesn't mean we turn. So many problems are caused because we misconstrue or take something wrong. What do you mean? I wasn't good yesterday. It was not pretty. No, I didn't say any of that. And as a guy, you're just there. I shouldn't say anything ever. I don't know what to do. Anyway, where are we at? Articles of Confederation. So then they figured out we need to make a car with an engine, but we don't want to get in a lot of wrecks like we had with the British government. So they draw up the Constitution, and they have to ask everybody if you like it. Well, remember the big fancy word for that? What had to happen in the Constitution? Had to get ratified, had to get voted on. And some of the states said, well, we don't like this. This car has an engine. And we'll vote for it if you'll put in some stuff that protects us. That's the Bill of Rights. There was 12 of them proposed, 10 of them passed, and one of them passed in 1992. And that was the one about Congress, because they vote the budget. They vote to spend money. They write the checks. So if they vote Congress a pay raise, it doesn't go into effect until after the election. Now, they don't give themselves $1 million. They make like $150,000, $180,000, which is good money, but it also, they have to have 2 houses and they have to fly back and forth. I mean, there's a lot to it. Anyway. All right, so Bill of Rights. First Amendment. If you want to jot any of this down, that's fine. If not, it'll be on my little YouTube deal. I'll show y'all know how to do that, and how to go. I put on, it's on my little website deal. First Amendment. Congress shall make no law establishing. Does that word mean something? Establishing. If you establish something, what does that mean? Something's established. It means you've done something, right? You've started something. Congress will not establish a national religion. What would it mean to establish a national religion? It would be forced on you. If you hear, all right, let's do this. God sent his son Jesus to earth to ultimately become the sacrifice for our sins. He died on the cross. After 3 days, he rose from the dead. He is the living sacrifice for my sin and your sins. And if you will admit you're a sinner and ask Jesus to take over your life, you will have a relationship with God forever. Can I say that in this room? I can. Did that change your paycheck? Did it hurt you physically anywhere? Now we're going to have a test. And you have to write down on that test when this happened for you, when you did this, and you're going to turn it in Sunday at church. Or you'll fail. Can I do that? No. Because that's forcing you. That's forcing you to an action. Just because you hear about something, just because you know about something, doesn't mean that was forced on you. Right? If I might be praying right now in your face. I hope you're offended by that. That's not forcing anything on you. All right? The government cannot force a religion on you. Now, they can't make you believe something. What did the Church of England do to the people of England? Why did the Puritans? What's that? Well, they had the war and stuff, but they took over the Catholic Church. Y'all know that story? Did y'all hear that in world history? They didn't have me for world history, so I don't think you heard this story. Henry VIII, he was the guy with the beard and the turkey leg. He had this wife. Something was wrong with her. She kept having girls. How can you be a king and have girls? Then some other guy's going to come in and take over and be the king. You got to have a boy so he can go and be the king and your name lives on. And so something must have been wrong with this girl. So he wanted to divorce her. We all see that, of course, yes. You got to divorce her. But he's Catholic. And he wrote a letter to the Pope, said, please let me get divorced. And the Pope said no. So he said, okay. Meanwhile, this hot babe's walking around him, Anne Boleyn. And he goes, whoa, I bet she'd have a boy. And so he took over the Catholic Church in England, turned it into the Church of England. He became like the Pope of it. And the first thing he did was what? Grant himself a divorce. And then he married Anne Boleyn, and she had a girl. Look at what this guy did for that girl. There's not been one guy do more for a girl than Henry VIII. He took over the Catholic Church and kicked it out. I mean, so obviously we got to do something, so he cut her head off. That's where the Church of England came in. That's how it got there. But they forced the people of England to pay a tax to them. And you had to be a part of the Church of England to like run for office or be in charge of stuff. Or if the government said you have to be in this religion to have a job, or in this religion to vote, and you have to pay taxes, that's forcing a religion on you. Hearing about something, or the president saying, you know, whatever, this thing blew up, we need to pray for the people of, that's not forcing religion. Y'all agree with that? Okay. The second part of it, of your religious rights, is it can't be kept. You can't be kept from practicing what you believe. They can't pass a law that says that. Now somebody asked, fourth period, they said, well, what about this where they said you can't, this spring they said you go to church. Going to church is not that's not what it is. Tons of people go to church and don't participate in anything or get anything. They're just going to church. Tons of people come to school and don't get nothing out of it. My church did a little Facebook deal. So we'd sit in the room and have a little Christian's phone and watch church, and then we started driving into it. We'd just sit in the parking lot. Stuff. I was glad I wasn't preaching then. He's wearing a suit out in the sun. I was like, ooh, that's gross. Yeah. Let's say I'm going to the satanic meeting. We have a satanic meeting once a month. Okay? So I'm walking to the satanic meeting, and I'm like, oh my gosh. It was my month to bring the goat, and I forgot. So I look over in Farmer Joe's yard, and he's got a goat. So I hop the fence, grab the goat, and I take the goat, and we cut its head off. Later on, I get arrested. Has my religious rights, has my First Amendment rights been violated? What was I arrested for? Stealing someone's property and animal cruelty. They didn't infringe on my religious rights. I infringed on Farmer Joe's rights and the right of that goat not to have his head cut off. I wonder if it's still, yeah, you cut the head off. I'm sorry. There are certain American, say I'm driving around, I get pulled over, an officer opens the door, and this big, huge green smoke comes out, and he goes, you're under arrest. I'm like, well, dude, this is my religion. I worship pot. It's awesome. It's great. Is that going to fly? No. There are American Indian tribes who use certain drugs in their practices and their ceremonies, but they've done it for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. So yeah, they can do that. There are certain tribes up in Northwest, up in Alaska, they're allowed to hunt whales at certain times of the year because that's part of their religious practice. I can't go up there and hunt a whale. How do you, I always wonder, how? So you stick the whale. Okay, now what? Now what do you, how do you get that? You pull the whale in? How does it, okay, you got me. How does that work? But anyway, and then when you get blubber, what's for supper? Blubber. I guess we got nothing else, and that's all you know. I guess we eat cheese. What's for supper? Rotten milk. That's just let milk sit out for a while. It'll be good. We'll put it on pizza. Okay, good. Does that make sense? Your two religious rights. It can't be forced on you, and you can't be kept from practicing. Second one is all the First Amendment. Congress shall not abridge. You know what the word abridge means? You ever seen the word abridge anywhere? Where did you see it? It's on the dictionary, right? I've seen unabridged dictionaries, and those are the ones that look like this. That's an unabridged dictionary. And then the one in English class is like this. That's abridged. So what does abridged mean, or unabridged? Means limited or lessened, or it's got unabridged, got all the words in it. Wow. I never understood the dictionary. People use dictionaries to spell words. What do you have to do to get the word? You gotta be able to spell it. I don't understand the dictionary, it doesn't make any sense. Dictionary. So Congress shall not make a law that limits your freedom of speech. I made this up about 24 years ago, but it's right. And I don't think you will not go to any government class anywhere in the world and get this. So if you're writing this down, Get this down good, okay? If not, memorize it from the little video deal. In America, you have the right to say or do whatever you want. You can say anything you want. You can do anything you want. As long as, so there's a condition here, as long as you are not infringing on others' rights. You can say whatever you want. You can do whatever you want, as long as you're not infringing on other people's rights. And there's one more part to it. You have no right to not be offended. You have no right to not be offended. You're going to be offended. If this is really America, you get offended every single day. And that's good. Why is it good that you're offended? It means you have the right to offend others. Now, you don't go through life trying to. I'm wearing this shirt. Yeah, you're offended by this? You're not? Okay. Anybody offended? You offended by this? A little bit? Okay, it's fine. That's fine. Does it affect your paycheck?
No.
Does it physically injure you? You just don't like it. And that's okay. Because now you get the right to wear Yosemite Sam on your chest, right? Does that make sense? You can't have your rights infringed by what I do, but being offended is not a part of that. If I am, well, I'll give you an example here. My roommate took me to a Cowboys game several years ago. I couldn't care less about the Cowboys. He knows that, but he wanted to take me to the stadium. He wanted me to see him. Okay, so I went with him. He was all excited. We walk in, and there's a guy who's about that tall, has not gotten off the couch in about 3 years. He's about 3 bills, and he's wearing this shirt, and it says, and it's written out, F you if you don't like the Cowboys. And I saw that. I wasn't mad about that. What bothers me is people that don't know what a consequence is. And so much of today's societies is, you know, and you wouldn't say any of that to somebody's face. Yeah, I mean, you know, no, you wouldn't do that. You know, when I was a kid, we were scared of getting beat up. I'm not saying violence is the answer, but the fear of getting beat up kept us straight. We were less stupid than y'all were. Freshmen, you've seen freshmen today. This was freshmen when I was a freshman. We didn't want to get beat up. I'd never seen anybody get beat up. I'd never really heard of somebody getting beat up, but we were afraid of getting beat up. This guy obviously wasn't afraid of getting beat up. You know, I saw it, I imaged it in my head. I wanted so bad to go up to him, just tap him on the shoulder like real hard. Say, excuse me, sir, I don't like the Cowboys. Is that really what you mean? Are you sure that's what do you mean that? Is that what you, and I saw it, you know, in my head, just bam. And for 2 seconds, that would have felt really good. Then the police officer would have handcuffed me and led me away, and then the TV reporters, and then the firing from the school, and would that be worth it? No. Did that shirt do anything to me? No. It did not affect my life one bit. I didn't like it. The guy needed to be slapped. I just don't need to go to Texas State or whatever it is this year. He got us. Christy had never been to Texas Stadium or whatever it is. That's old. And Guy had tickets for a Thanksgiving game several years ago. They were playing the Raiders. We couldn't care less about it, but we go. They had a guy named Charles Woodson who used to play for the Packers. And the boys had Charles Woodson jerseys. Is that weird that the Wild Boys had jerseys? Remember, that's all they wore every day? Good days. Anyways, they're wearing their Green Bay Packer Charles Woodson jerseys. I think Holt was like 5th grade and Pacer was about 2nd grade. And we're leaving the stage. We're leaving, going down the escalator after the game. And Christy turns to me and said, "Did you hear what he said?" I said, "No." Well, this drunk 19-year-old and his girlfriend are walking down, or on the escalator. And he turns and looks at Pacer and says, "What the beep? Why are you beep wearing those beep jerseys, you beep, beep, beep?" So obviously this guy needed to be informed of some things. I walked down. I did tap him on the shoulder. He turned around and kind of jumped. And I said, "Sir, I understand you had a problem with my son wearing that jersey." He's, well, I want to tell you, I want to explain to you, Charles Woodson, one of the greatest players in NFL history, used to play for the Packers. And my sons are both owners of the Packers. "Oh, yeah, the Packers, I know." And the girlfriend just sprinting down the escalator. I just wanted to inform him. I wasn't going to do anything. I should have just let Pacer go to town on it. He would have handled it. Did that guy have the right to say that?
Maybe not for the kid.
Well, okay, why not? He has a right. He has a right to say that, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I walk into the store with Little Titan, and some guy's wearing some shirt in big letters that says "F you." Does he have a right to wear that shirt? He does. Do I have a right not to have that conversation with Titan right now? "Dad, what's that?" Yeah. I have that right to not have that conversation, right? Which one's more important? They're equal. That's the problem with freedom. You have to allow people to be stupid. Now, if it's affecting my paycheck, if it's affecting my health, if I'm in danger, that's infringing on my rights. But just because I don't like what you have on, or I don't like what you say, or I don't like that, that doesn't matter. Because I want to be able to say what I want. I want to be able to say, "Wear my Jesus Loves You shirt." If I don't wear my Jesus Loves You shirt, somebody gets to wear the FU shirt. That's why freedom's tough. Communism, dictatorship is easy. Somebody does, and people stop being stupid. I mean, yeah, I don't want to live there. I'd rather be free, but that's difficult. You have to allow people to be stupid. You have to allow people to do things you don't like so you can do things other people don't like. One of the first things Little Titan said, I'd go, boom, 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 he'd go, Pat, go. Now, and there are people in North Texas, how could you torture that child that way? And I know they're ignorant, but, anyway. Does that make sense? Now, in California, there was this guy, he was a salesman. Let's say he's a salesman for Smith and Company. I don't know what it was. If I'm a salesman for Smith and Company, who controls me? Am I controlled by anybody? Mr. Smith controls me. Why does he control me? Because I work for him. And he says, "Here's what you're going to do." Does he say what I'm going to wear? Because I'm representing his company. So I wear what he... I was told I could wear jeans this year, so I wore jeans. Actually, y'all won't understand this. Men wear Wranglers. That's the world I live in. Men wear Wranglers. You can wear other things, but you're not a man then. I'm the only man in my house. A few years ago, Christy actually got me to wear a cinch, which I call pansy designer jeans. But at least they are next to the Wranglers on the shelf thing, you know, so, okay. I'm a man, so I get my jeans starched. I'm a man from Texas, so I get my jeans starched. I couldn't afford or don't have the time to have jeans starched all the time, so we go to Justin, which I can live with because that's also where there's Wranglers on the shelf. So I go to Justin, we're trying to find some jeans, and I find these are like 20X jeans, which is made by Wranglers, but they still are pansy jeans. They got the weird little things on the tail, and they're not man jeans. But I can wear them, and if I gotta wash them, I can just throw them in the washer, and you know, can go on. Why am I not wearing shorts today? Because my bosses say I can't wear shorts to school. Otherwise, I'd wear shorts to school. Do I have a right to wear shorts? I have a right to wear shorts. What if I wore shorts to school? Would my boss say, yes, you have the right to wear shorts? They would say that, but you can't have this job and wear shorts to school. Does that make sense? So this guy was the salesman, and he wanted to wear a dress. And his bosses said, no, I'm not wearing a dress to sell our stuff. And he did. And they fired him. And he sued them. And the court said, yeah, you can wear a dress, but you don't have to have this job. Wear a dress all you want, but if you want this job, you have to do what they say. So was his freedom of speech violated when he was fired? No. He could wear a dress all day long. But if this person writing your check says you have to wear something else, you gotta wear something else. Go find it. If I wanted a job wearing shorts, I'd go find a job wearing shorts. If I wanted to wear shorts bad enough. Someday I might. I don't know. Does this make sense? All right. Third is freedom of the press. What's the press? What's that mean? News. The reporters. Why are they called the press? Back in the old days, it was the print press. Now you got internet, now you got TV and radio and all that kind of stuff. In America, the press is free. They can do it, they can report what they want. The government doesn't check on it. As long as it's what? What do they have to report? Truth. It has to be true. So their constitutional obligation is to print the truth. The government is not going to watch them and check and censor what they're writing like other countries. Most other countries have some sort of government censorship. They have the right and the obligation to print the truth. In Iraq, mid-2000s, they would report that this platoon tortured these many prisoners, that this many people, this many children died today, that how many soldiers we had died. They'd report all that. Was that all true? Yes, it was all true. They didn't report on the hospitals that were built, or the children that were saved, or the... You can report the truth and slant the story. I can report, if I report nothing but negative on this thing, you're going to think nothing but negative. I can mold the story and create the agenda I want to create. Reporters have a ton, the news people have a ton of power over us because we're not there. And we're dependent on them telling us. And then we base our opinions on what they're telling us. If you only get your news from one source, and that source is a source that verifies your thoughts on things, that's dangerous. Because you're not getting the story. And you're getting like a slanted view of what's happening. Does that make sense? They have a lot of power over us. And it's extremely important that they do print the truth. It's extremely important that we understand, yeah, it might be true, but there's more to it than what they're telling us. No matter who it is. Fox, CNN, MSNBC, Wise County Messenger, they have an agenda. Why is county messenger a whole lot less than the others? Say I'm arrested for murder, and Wise County Messenger says, Ryle arrested for murdering student. Is that okay for them to print? Yes. What if they say Ryle murders student? Can they print that? Why can't they print that?
It's a legend.
And then a trial yet. They can't announce me guilty until the trial does. Now, if I'm arrested for murder, what's everybody say? I can't believe he killed her. You know, because you read that story, we don't see arrested for murder. We just, oh gosh, they killed. That's on us. But they have to print the truth. They can't. Libel and slander would be them saying Ryle murdered a student before the trial. And I could sue them and stuff like that. Does this make sense? True. 4 and 5 is together. Assembly and petition. What's assembly? Get together. What's petition? Grind. You don't like something, so you try to change it. As Americans, we get together and we get to grind. We have that right. Some countries don't have that. I guess you can, but then you get shot or hung or you disappear. In America, we can get together and grind. I always use Greg Larry's example. I went to college with him. So, do I have the right to have a sign and walk around the courthouse in Decatur and say, Greg Larry is stupid. Greg Larry, and we don't know that. Yeah, that is true. Greg Larry's stupid. I won't tell y'all about the time he stole the police golf cart and drove it into the fountain. I won't tell y'all about that one. That may or may not have happened ever. So I have that right. Do I have a right to have like 3 or 4 friends? And we walk around, Greg Larry's stupid. Can we stop and block the stairs where people can't get in the courthouse? No, because that's infringing on their rights. If you just see or hear me yelling Greg Larry's stupid, that doesn't infringe on your rights. Greg Larry has no right to not be offended. Shouldn't have took the job if you didn't want people saying he's stupid. Right? Can we spill out into the street? Because that's blocking traffic. Can we disrupt people going in and out of businesses around Main Street? No. And if you get arrested, it's not because your rights aren't being violated. You violated those other people's rights. Now you can go to the police, you can go to the city and say, on Friday, we'd like to have a protest rally against Greg Larry. Okay, and they'll block the streets so we can march around, Greg Larry's stupid! Greg Larry! Everybody's sitting there in their car, but we have the right to do. We went through the proper channels. But you don't have the right to block streets, you don't have the right to block, storefronts. Do you have a right to run them over in your car? That's really violating their rights. You get run over. Now you can argue, well, they shouldn't have. Well, but you got the choice: step on the gas or not.
What about if they start attacking your vehicle?
You can defend yourself. Yes. I would probably say, don't do that, or I will press on the gas. But still, no matter what, you're probably gonna be the bad guy because here's somebody with just my body, and here's you with the car. I've been in one fight in my life. 4th grade, Tim Wallace, he was the toughest kid in school. For some reason, he came up to me and said, we're fighting after school. What would I do? We're fighting, biscuit eater. I went, biscuit eater? Well, yeah, biscuits are good. Why is that? What's that? I don't know. I still don't know what that was. Biscuit eater. Pretty good. I want to make a shirt. Yes, I am a biscuit eater. So I'm in the bike rack. He comes up, stands like this, and he swings, and I duck my head, and he hit my head. And he goes, ah, and he walked away. So I think I won. Because I didn't walk away. I'm still standing there. It didn't feel great, but Anyway, I think Chrissy thinks I want to fight all the time. I've never fought in my life. But we were in Springtown, downtown Springtown, before they were redoing everything. And it's like just 2-lane road there. It's 30. And we're going. This guy's been tailing us since I don't know when. He whips around and passes us in downtown Springtown. And little Colt was in a little baby seat there. And Chrissy, Mama Bear, comes out and says, "Did you see that?" I said, "Yeah, I did." She goes, "We're stopped at the stoplight." And so we're stopped here, and he stops here because he's scared. He don't want to get next to us. She goes, "Why, are you going to get out there and say something?" "Sure, you want me to?" "Oh, well, yeah. Did you, sir? Did you?" Because people in there, people know there's no consequences. I always just want to walk up and talk to them. "Did you mean to do that? Is that what you really, did you really mean to do that? It's not really. Let's see what, I guess if I do, you gotta be careful. Because it's all, this guy there might be a guy that talks like this. And his name is Elliot Rothschild III. And he might beat the crap out of you. You never know. You never know what's gonna happen. All right, now the Second Amendment. What do you know about the Second Amendment? Should everybody own a gun? Should everybody have the right to own a gun? What about if you have mental problems? What if you've been convicted of a major felony? You've kind of proven you can't really handle a lot. Okay, so not everybody should have the right to own a gun. I believe you should have the right to own a gun. Does anybody need a machine gun? No. You don't. You don't need a machine gun. That makes the deer taste awful. Now, remember the thing about ignorance? Make a comment out of ignorance. Do we need to hunt hogs? Yes, we do. They're destroying everything. And we're not hunting hogs. We're hunting hogs. And I mean, it takes some firepower to take those things down. So sometimes if you're hunting hogs, you got to have something real. Maybe it takes something like that.
Isn't it also the right to arm yourself in a well-armed militia?
Yes. Really, the real reason they put that in there is because they knew government was evil, and they wanted people to be able. What had they just done? They just took down this crappy government, and they knew government's evil, and eventually it'll go. Anyway, you have the right to own a legal firearm. Should there be background checks?
Yes.
Yeah. They ought to double check and make sure. And gun shows are fine. I'm really not comfortable with anybody just getting to walk up there. "I'll take 5 of them and 2 of them and 4 of them. And you got some bullets. I need some bullets." I don't know if that's really what we need to have. Where you can just walk up and easy to go out. Anyway, Third Amendment. What's that?
Quartering troops.
Quartering troops. Not a big deal today, but in the 1700s it was a big deal because England was forcing soldiers to live in people's homes. They said, "We don't want that." They'd come walk in eating sandwiches and tracking mud. These I get confused by. Fifth Amendment is the due process. In America, we have a great system. If you're arrested, we're going to protect you. In reality, no, not reality. In what's the word? Not in reality, but in the way it's supposed to be is you're innocent, and you have to be proven guilty. We protect the arrested people because we assume you didn't do it. That means a lot of guilty people go free sometimes. But hopefully, very few innocent people get punished. That's the purpose. If you're arrested, there are things that can be done to you. There are things that can't be done to you. And there's things that have to be done to you or for you. You are owed the legal process. It is due to you. Things can, things can't, and things have to be. I've always heard you get a phone call. I've never been arrested. I have a little brother. We're very, very different. My kids learned F-bombs at the Thanksgiving table thanks to my brother. We're just different. We're just different. Due process. I've never been arrested. Hopefully never. I don't want to be arrested. One of those things I don't want to happen to. Search and seizure. That's close, right? Is there a Z there or something? I know there's an I and E and some sort of Z word. And anyway, can the cops just stop you and just frisk you right there or search your vehicle right now? And just no, they can't, because you're assumed innocent. Okay? If they drive by your house and they hear, ah! Oh, now I skipped every day of law school. Is there some probable cause there where we might need to investigate something? Yes. Most drug dealers are arrested because they have a light out in their taillights or headlights, or because the cops know who the drug dealers are. They know. They just have to be able to get them on something. So they pull them over when the taillight's out, and then they ask to search the car, and they say no. I say okay, and then they go get a judge and they search the car. But you have the right not to be searched, not to have stuff taken without proper channels, without having a warrant or without probable cause. If your house is on fire, somebody might come search your house, possibly. I don't know. And then the Sixth Amendment is the right to a relatively speedy trial. They can't just throw you in jail and leave you. But today, not trial. That close? Yeah. We don't have the courtroom space. There's a lot more crap going on than there is places to deal with the crap. Also, the lawyers are arguing back and forth, say we need more time, or we don't want. A lot of things get put off, not because the government's saying, well, we'll just let you rot in jail. It's because of other things. 7 is a civil trial. You can have asked for a jury. You know what's the difference between a civil and a criminal trial? Criminal, you're accused of stealing a car. You broke some law. Civil, the microwave blew up in your face and you're suing the manufacturer of the mic. Civil is you're suing somebody for money. Divorce is civil cases. Child custody is civil. And you're suing this company or you're suing this person for whatever. Why would you want a jury trial in a civil case?
Opinions.
30 years ago, people started suing tobacco companies because they had lung cancer. Now, when you were a little kid, the first time you was around a campfire, what did you learn in about 10 seconds? Get away from the smoke. You don't go and just breathe as much as you want. So we all know smoking is not good. Everyone knows it. From like 63 on, they had a little thing on the back of the cigarette deals that said, warning, Surgeon General has concluded that this is bad for your health. Today, I even think it just says, smoking's gonna kill you. They get real plain with it. So we all know.
McDonald's lawsuit, coffee's hot.
It'll happen. The McDonald's food lawsuits, it started, but it'll happen soon.
Hot coffee.
When I have my heart attack, which I always told Christy, it'll be in my 50s sometime. And I'm 53, so I don't want to hurt. I just don't want to hurt. But I know it's coming. I'm not suing Big Chicken Fried Steak. It's not Chicken Fried Steak's fault. I could say no and push the plate away. But no, I injected gravy IV and it's my fault. I chose to eat the chicken fried steak all the time. We don't get it all the time, but I yell at junior high kids all day, and I didn't have to yell at junior high kids at all this year. And really last year I didn't have to yell very much. Even stretch, even warm up. They kind of did it right. What's going on? What's happening? The people, I was 5 at the grocery store, and I heard this weird voice And the guy turns around and he had the hole with the thing. You ever seen that? It freaked me out. I was scared to death. You ever seen somebody smoking out of that? That's not learning a lesson right there. Yeah. So the person's up there on the stand. Yes, I started smoking when I was 12, and now I'm dying of lung cancer. And then 5 million, you know. Well, they put addictive stuff in their cigarettes. Really? Kind of like a smart business plan, sounds like to me. No matter what, chicken fried steak has addictive stuff in it too. I think it's called chicken fried steak. Why is it anything good is bad for you? Whatever's good for you it's just. You need more kale. Kale. You can't even chew kale. It just kind of bends. I want even the salad the good salad's not good for you. Like iceberg lettuce, it's just not. There's nothing there. It just crunch. That's good salad. Kale, you can't even swallow it because it just won't even. Just stays there. Anyway, does that matter? A jury, you can get a jury to feel sorry for you. A judge, you probably can't get to feel sorry for you, but you can get a jury to feel sorry for you. So a lot of times I'll ask for a jury.
Have you seen 12 Angry Men?
I have. Great show. Great movie. We might watch it here sometime. If you have time. 8 is bail and punishment. No cruel or unusual bail or punishment. To me, 1 second in jail is going to be cruel. I'd pee my pants and suck my thumb and cry and just. Forget right or wrong, good or bad. If I'm convicted of murdering 5 people, does the death penalty match up with that crime? Does it at least matches? I'm not saying it's right or wrong, it matches.
Yeah.
If I steal a car, does the death penalty match up with stealing the car? No. That's all this is saying. Any punishment really is kind of cruel. It's just saying the punishment has to fit the crime, the bail has to fit the crime. I don't understand bail. If I got arrested, I'd have to be there forever because I don't have $5. How can people without a job come up with 50,000 bail all the time? I don't get it. I know, but these have to have something.
That's how you get your legs broken.
I'd call Christy. Christy, I'm arrested. Well, you're out of luck, really. Maybe next month, but not right now. 9th Amendment is other rights. You have the right to eat Chinese food. You have the right to wear purple shirts. You have the right to watch Nickelodeon. None of that is in the Constitution. This is saying there's other stuff you got that we haven't written down. You have the rights to a bunch of other things, you just couldn't write them all down. And the 10th Amendment is the reserved powers. The Constitution tells the federal government, here's the only things y'all can do. This is it. That's the list of things you get to do. It tells the states, you can't do these things. Federal government, you get to do these. States, you can't. Anything else, the states are in charge of. See y'all later. Have a good day.
You seem to forget that 10th one.